body. I mean, obviously, there's the treatment component, there's the education, and we all agree with that, because we,
Right.
like Chief Mayor said, we're not gonna arrest our way out of it. But the people in this room, our experience and our expertise is in the arresting component of it.
Right.
And dealing with, and targeting, I think anyways, the dealers, the ones that are gonna be the ones selling for the first time to that one person that's gonna get them addicted. Whether it's at a party or at school, most likely school. And from what I'm hearing from people in the room is that things worked back when we had more money to do the work. When we had it with the
Yeah.
crack problem, that's when I first started in law enforcement, when the crack was big. And now it's not big, and there's probably a reason for that.
Right, and there was a combination of things, right? So you had more enforcement resources, but you also had, there was a penalty focus at the federal level and at the state level as well. There was a, thinking about the education focus, maybe the treatment focus, and sort of all those things. And I'm very cognizant that, there's things that we could do to help on the federal level, and that's what I'm gonna try to do, but also, things at the state level and the local level, and making sure that they all fit together well. But you're right, we got it cracked because we decided it was a problem, decided we weren't gonna accept it anymore, decided that as we focused on it, that we had resources that were gonna go there because it was such a big problem. And I'm not saying that heroin will be the last problem, we understand that there's always something, but this is, where we are now. It's time to have one of those moments where we all say, okay, we've all got one piece of it, so how do we fit those pieces together, and what can we do at the federal level? I mean, there's always challenging budget times, but I think this is a priority for people. See, what I'm hearing from my colleagues in Washington, this isn't a Republican, Democrat issue. This is just basic for everyone in terms of public safety, in terms of quality of life, that's hitting every single state in this nation. And so when you hear something that's hitting every state, you think, well, there's an opportunity that we actually can find something that we can work together on, to agree on, to make a difference. So that's my hope, and that's why I'm hoping to be able to sort of take the feedback that I've had, and I know you met with Senator Shaheen as well, that going to Washington and figuring out what we can do, because I just am hearing already from people from the other side of the country that are saying, this is a problem for us too.
Senator, for me,
Yeah.
along that vein, we all share the same law enforcement problem, but on the federal level, what I don't hear much discussion of in all of ours is, we all recognize that it's a pill problem that transitions into heroin. What can we do to engage the extreme profit motive that the pharmaceutical companies have, to put these pills out there, to engage them in the education, the treatment part? We all recognize the connection, but I think getting them involved and as a funding source, it's not typical.
Yeah.
Put pressure on the federal level. We're not alone in New Hampshire, it's a countrywide
It's
thing.
a really good point, very different point too, that hasn't been made as much, so I appreciate that.
When you ask what could be, on a national level, what could be done for us here as far as police departments go, I understand, and I've had conversations with Steve Monier about it, I understand that the abuses that came with the airlines, no bridges to nowhere and things like that, but we've been talking amongst ourselves, how about, a block grant, something where we can get something like that akin to street sweeper, where we can devote that money towards it, towards the issue, as far as ripping the people out of the community that are selling drugs. Another thing is cops grants. The funding has gone down. It's now become so many strings are attached, and I just looked at what they're saying is going to be what they're going to be focusing on, is 3 different categories. Instead of just saying, okay, we realize you need more police officers, and just let us apply for them and get those police
So
officers.
you decide, right.
That is, I believe that the answer for at least us in Manchester, and I think I can speak to everybody here, is we need to stop the people from committing the crimes. There's an epidemic, there's a rise in Part 1 crimes based on that. And we need more police officers, we need more people in our drug units, and that is the immediate need. It's a Band-Aid, I know that, but right now we have to protect our citizens, and that's the best way to do it.
One thing I want to point out too is that unlike when street sweepers were on the crack problem that we had, and you spoke about all these robberies that we were seeing, the bank robberies,
Oh,
in
yeah.
Attorney General, that was all I think crack cocaine
Crack
related.
cocaine.
The problem with this is that I didn't have robberies happening like maybe locally, I still don't yet. But I do have, housewives and moms going into burglarizing other homes for pills. So,
Moms and housewives.
moms doing this stuff. And that's a problem that we're dealing with. So it's not just a, like, when we looked at the drug problems before, yeah, all the drugs, you drive to Nashua, you drive to Manchester, they go into Lawrence, and there's still some of that happening, so we need to address the big dealers down there instead of other ones. But in my communities and small towns, throughout New Hampshire, we still have a huge problem with that. And I think we have to, address that as well. So we can't just say, okay, we need all this stuff to cover this, drug use. It's also the, helping the small communities address some of this stuff. I don't need extra, 2 or 3 different officers like Manchester does to put into a drug unit. But we do need more help, in our smaller communities, not to the level, but it's still those type of things. The treatment centers, available to, the rural communities, so that those people, when we arrest them, we have a place to send them, to get that treatment so it stops it. So that this woman doesn't, just hang out there and burglarize more homes and wind up dead,
No place to go and knowing where to go. Now, I know we're, I don't want to hold you too.
I just real quick wanted to say, I hear us talking about cocaine and heroin, and I don't think we're gonna see this changing back to cocaine or any other drug. The way that heroin hits the system, and I'm sure, my colleague over here will be able to tell you all about, but real quickly, the addiction is so powerful, and coming off of it is so different than coming off of cocaine. When you come off of cocaine, you may not feel well, you might, be tired and irritated, you'll sleep. You can sleep it off kind of thing. But when you come off heroin, you're cramping, you're vomiting, you're so sick, you will do whatever it takes, and that's where you're seeing the housewives, and you're seeing all the different people. They'll do anything, and that addiction just doesn't disappear. So it's going to be, I think this is going to be the drug of choice, and once they try this, they will not spend a dime on alcohol, cocaine, or anything else because they need it not to be sick. So just want to make that point. I think this is the drug we're going to see for quite some time, and the withdrawal of it is what's creating the crime. They don't want to go through it.
One thing I wanted to make sure, because I know I don't want to hold you too long, because this is a pretty important group to have.